Hello, everybody. Welcome to week 14. We are closing in on the end of the semester. I hope that you're all doing well. Again, I know you're all on the other side of the report, so it's fairly smooth sailing from here on out. Again, I just want to remind you with just a couple weeks left, don't wait till the last minute on your assignments and your welcome videos. Put good work in. Make sure that you're using the book. So that you stand a chance at getting full points. Because at this point, it all matters, right? We're closing in on the end. There's not a whole lot that can be done at this point. So just keep doing good, solid work. Keep learning all the usual stuff that I keep saying. So this week we have 2 modules, and then the last 2 weeks we'll have 1 module each. And these 2 are together, 1, so that I can get to where I need to get for the class, but 2, because they fit and continue a link and a line. And so this week, you're going to be dealing with chapters 16 and 17. And so you're going to be learning about funk and disco and hip-hop/rap, right? So if you think about going back to the beginning of this class, I talked about the dual paths of the music from the Black experience, the music from the white experience, the places where they intersect. And so, going through blues and to rhythm and blues, renamed rock and roll. Then we talked about soul and Motown, and it's all coming out of that rhythm and blues path. So it really follows through with that. And in the 60s, we get another one of the rare times where an artist comes back and gets mentioned again. In this case, it's James Brown. So James Brown, as we already learned about, was a really important R&B artist. But in the mid-60s, he really invents a new style of music. It is rhythm and blues. It is extremely dance-oriented. And it becomes known as funk. And so you're going to learn about the roots of it from him and his music. And the thing with funk is that you really want to approach it with the importance of each line, each instrument being a part of a whole, which, intentionally or not, very much connects to the music of West Africa. And so if you go back and you study that music, you'll hear similar ideas. I'm not sure how aware James Brown was of that at the time. But so, for example, you'll hear a really distinctive bass line in funk, and the bass and the drums, really drive it. But then you'll hear it punctuated with horn parts and guitar parts and vocal parts, and it's really about the sum of all the parts. So from James Brown, you get funk evolving into the mid 60s. Then you get that carried on with Sly and the Family Stone. Sly Stone, really important in terms of his contributions. And if you think about a lot of this coming through, this is coming through at the same time as the Civil Rights Movement. So there's a lot of political undertones and overtones in a lot of the music. And so as you study that, you're going to see that. And then from Sly and the Family Stone, you're going to get to Parliament Funkadelic. You'll learn about George Clinton and his role with there was a group Parliament and there was a group Funkadelic, and they had different things about them, and then eventually they combined and really became synonymous with funk in the 70s, particularly with George Clinton and with Bootsy Collins, the bass player, and his use of synthesizer bass. Some of you may know Bootsy. You'll see him in the videos and stuff. Amazing artist, still out there, still around. And then George Clinton later, produced the Red Hot Chili Peppers. So he produced Freaky Styley. So if you are a Chili Peppers fan, the intersection there is quite important. So you're going to learn about funk, and then you're going to learn about disco. And disco is different, even though they both come from Black roots. There's a video that I used to show in the class, and there was I think it was Gloria Gaynor that basically said that basically disco was basically funk for white people so they could dance to it. And so the thing with disco is it rhythmically is much simpler, much more direct. There are differences in the lyrics. I want you to be thinking about that and mindful about what are they dealing with funk? What are they dealing with disco? Disco had a much wider reach with audience through the gay clubs, and then ultimately in through popular media. TV shows, TV themes from various shows and other things. It really became a huge thing. And the roots of EDM, if any of you go to any EDM things, the roots of that really lie in disco. It's just been combined with synthesizers and then turntables, and now of course it's primarily laptops. But that what we call four on the floor beat, that boom 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 boom, that comes from disco. And again, it's because it was very simple and easy to dance to. Funk oftentimes had more serious subject matter, where disco was a much more about, well, to quote the great Casey and the Sunshine Band, do a little dance, make a little love, get down tonight. It really was about that kind of a lifestyle, in some ways a pretty hedonistic lifestyle. And that's where it came out. And there was also a reaction. There were a lot of people that hated disco because disco was very mechanical, and it eventually ushered in more synthesizers and machines and drum machines. And so a lot of people felt that it took the heart out of music. And so you're going to learn about some of the great disco stuff that came out. I was a kid growing up during this era, and I grew up listening to a whole lot of stuff. And so I don't know, I think in high school at a great time. So in the late 70s, early 80s. So this is when punk was coming out, new wave was coming out. Disco was still big. Again, understand that all of this is happening at the same time. All that early punk that you learned about, in 77, 78, 79, those are the big years for disco as well. And it just sort of depended on where you intersected with culture. And I was just, being a musician, I gravitated towards a lot of this music of all kinds. I was not a big disco fan at the time. I was too young to go out to the clubs, which is probably a good thing. And it wasn't really my speed anyways. But as you learned going way back to the beginning of the semester with Neural Nostalgia, there are songs that come out of this era that are definitely like guilty pleasure songs for me that I'll hear and they'll put a smile on my face. And they're not about making great musical statements. They're about sort of that moment in time and where you're at. And so just like you've learned about and you're dealing with, we were all there. And so there's songs that maybe you didn't like at the time. And then they become nostalgic for you and they become meaningful. So you're going to learn about funk and disco, and those two things are going to lead very much into rap. So you're going to learn about the roots of rap, and rap is one of those few genres that, first of all, started off very geographically specific. So it came out of one of the boroughs in New York, and I'm going to let you learn about that. And then eventually it evolved. And the roots of rap in some ways are very closely tied. You learned about reggae and ska and all that. And it's very closely tied to Jamaican music, to reggae, because it was a big DJ culture, as you learned. And the DJs would oftentimes have rhymed patter that they would speak called toasting. And one of the early important figures in rap was a guy by the name of DJ Kool Herc, who was Jamaican and started to bring this stuff through. Now, here's something that I want you to understand. If you go back to the roots of this into the late 70s, 79 really is when it became on the scene in a significant way. Hip hop was not a musical term exactly. It was a cultural term. So hip hop referred to a culture. The music of that culture was rap. There were other aspects of hip hop culture. So tagging, graffiti, the fashions, right? With the gold chains and the Adidas and the sweats or whatever the look was a part of that. And breakdancing was a big part of hip hop culture as well. So rap was just that. So if you were to jump back into 1979, 80 and say, what do you think of hip hop music? That wouldn't necessarily make sense to somebody at that time. They'd be like, well, hip hop is a cultural term. You mean rap? Is that what you're talking about? Now, over time, I would say that hip hop and rap are different musically. And you can get into the subtle differences of that, just like we talked about the subtle differences of heavy metal and hard rock. And I don't really get into that a whole lot. Now that's why you'll see me put a lot just like hip hop / rap or rap / hip hop, because that's kind of how it works from all of that. So you're going to learn about DJ Kool Herc. You're going to learn about some of the early important figures, Afrika Bambaataa, Grandmaster Flash, and the Furious Five. You're going to learn about Run DMC, Curtis Blow. Eventually you get to NWA. So when rap started off, it was actually and I want you to be thinking about this for your assignments and going through this, but there was a positive message and a positive thought behind rap. You know, it wasn't popular on the radio. It wasn't getting played on MTV. It was really, you know, if you had it in the clubs, that was kind of it. That didn't become big till later. And so it was really about a positive outlook. When they would have battle, like a breakdance, you know, battles, that was sort of the late 70s, early 80s equivalent of the doo-wop singing battles in the 50s. And it was a way of like non-violent, you know, turf wars, right? And there was a lot of good. Afrika Bambaataa did a lot with trying to promote good within the neighborhood. It was very poor. It was very disenfranchised. And so there was a lot of like, you know, cleaning up the neighborhoods, community gardens, a lot that was positive. It wasn't later until it got big that things shifted. And a couple of factors played into that. One was that through the mid 80s, it was pretty tame, even if you listen to you know, the rap of Run DMC and people like that. It wasn't really till you get to the late 80s with gangster rap, with NWA, with Ice-T, with Public Enemy, that things started to change. And in fact, that's when the term hip hop started to be used more, because rap had a pretty negative connotation to it. And you know, you're going to learn about the role of MTV in all of this too, because there was eventually a program on MTV called Yo MTV Raps that just blocked that kind of stuff. And so that you know, people that just wanted to get the latest rap stuff could get it there. So you're going to learn about the roots of this. It's not a, you know, definitive history on rap. You could literally do a semester on rap, like you could on just about any genre. So, you know, we're not really, you know, I think it might mention Eminem, it mentions Kid Frost, Salt and Peppa, a few people, but you're not going to, you know, get it really. I think it might even mention Tupac, but it doesn't really carry on from there. So you're going to, again, like everything that we've done in this class, you're going to learn about the roots and the foundations of the style. So that's what you're going to be dealing with this week. As you know, there have been questions buried in this, or will be right after this, throughout. And so work on that. One last thing, you know, it is Thanksgiving week. You still have the usual work to do, the usual timing of everything. So my suggestion to you is, you know, if you want to carve out Thursday as, you know, family Thanksgiving time, then get that work done early. You figure out your schedule around it. You know, you control it out of there. Again, my big recommendation is get these videos done ASAP. Monday, Tuesday. I had a couple people reaching out to me saying, "Oh, hey, you know, I missed the video because I was too late." I'm not going to go back and reopen it for you. It's open for 3.5 days. You have plenty of time to do these things, so schedule your time. As I may have said before, you know, one of the most important elements in successful life is good time management. So this is what I'm trying to help y'all do. So I think that's it. I am very grateful for all of you. Grateful for you taking this class. Grateful for you walking on the planet. And spend this week thinking about the things that you're grateful for. This has been a rough 1.5 years, without a doubt, but there are always things to be grateful for. So take the time, stop and think about those things that you're grateful for, the things that really matter and important to you. All right, that's it. Have a great week. We'll talk soon. Bye.